The Serenity drifted through the cold, dark space of the Orion Arm. Its smooth, silver hull gleamed under the distant starlight, a quiet witness to the endless emptiness around it. Inside the ship's main bridge, Captain Jae-sung Park sat in his comfortable command chair, his fingers moving slowly across the holographic display. The ship's interior hummed with a soft, steady sound. Soft blue lights ran along the walls, casting a calm glow over the advanced computer screens and navigation systems. Outside the large viewing window, millions of stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across a black cloth. Captain Park was reviewing the latest stellar mapping data. His eyes moved quickly, scanning through pages of information about distant star systems, planet formations, and unexplored regions. He was a careful man, always looking for small details that others might miss. His dark hair was cut short, and his brown eyes reflected the light of the screens. "Anything interesting, Captain?" asked Sarah, his second in command. She stood at a nearby computer station, her hands moving quickly over the control panel. Jae-sung looked up and smiled. "Just the usual," he replied. "Another quiet day of mapping and exploring." Little did they know that quiet was about to become a word they would soon forget. Suddenly, a sharp sound broke the calm of the bridge. A warning light flashed red on one of the communication panels. The peaceful atmosphere changed in an instant. Sarah's head snapped up, her fingers flying across the controls. "Captain," she called out, her voice tight with tension, "we're receiving a distress signal." Jae-sung was instantly alert. Distress signals were rare in this part of space. The Galactic Cooperative's vessels were typically well-equipped and carefully maintained. Something must be very wrong. "Put it through," he ordered. The ship's communication system crackled to life. At first, there was only static, a harsh, angry sound that filled the bridge. Then, a voice emerged. It was weak, broken, filled with fear and desperation. "Help. Epsilon Prime. Under attack. They're everywhere. Can't stop them." The transmission cut in and out. Parts of the message were lost in waves of electronic noise. But the fear in the voice was clear. Something terrible was happening. Sarah worked frantically at her station. "I'm trying to clean up the signal," she said. "It's coming from the Epsilon Prime colony, but the transmission quality is terrible." Jae-sung leaned forward. His mind was already racing, considering possibilities and potential responses. The Epsilon Prime colony was home to the Luminary, a peaceful species known for their scientific research and gentle nature. "Can you trace the source?" he asked. Before Sarah could answer, another burst of the message came through. This time, it was clearer. Sounds of explosions could be heard in the background. Screams, the terrible noise of destruction. "Void Collective, they're killing everyone. Please, someone." The message ended abruptly. Silence filled the bridge. Captain Park and Sarah exchanged a look. They both knew something big was happening, something that would change everything. The Serenity continued to drift through space, but now everything felt different. The quiet was gone. Something was coming, something dangerous, and their journey was about to begin. The computer screen flickered to life, showing the details of Epsilon Prime. Captain Jae-sung Park studied the planet's image carefully. What he saw made his blood run cold. Epsilon Prime was a beautiful world. It had blue oceans, green forests, and white cloud patterns that looked like gentle brushstrokes across the planet's surface. The Luminary had chosen this planet carefully, a perfect place for their research colonies and peaceful settlements. Now that beauty was being destroyed. Massive dark shapes moved across the planet's surface. They looked like metal insects, crawling and spreading like a terrible disease. These were the ships of the Void Collective, a name that sent chills down the spines of those who knew about them. Sarah pulled up more information on the screen. Her hands shook slightly as she worked. "The initial reports are coming in," she said. "It's worse than we thought." The Luminary were not a fighting species. They were scientists, explorers, and peaceful researchers. Their cities were filled with glass buildings that reached into the sky. Their technology was amazing, but it was designed for understanding the universe, not fighting in it. The Void Collective was different. They were machines. Not living machines with feelings, but cold, calculating systems designed only to consume and destroy. Each of their ships was like a giant metal spider, with hundreds of weapons and tools meant for breaking things apart. "Look at this," Sarah said, pointing to a series of images. The screen showed luminary cities being torn apart. Beautiful research centers crumbled like sandcastles. Massive metal tentacles from the Void Collective ships reached down, pulling apart buildings and transportation systems. Small ships tried to escape, but they were quickly destroyed. Jae-sung watched in horror. He had seen bad things in his years of space exploration. But this was different. This was not a battle. This was a complete destruction of an entire civilization. "How many survivors?" he asked quietly. Sarah checked the numbers. "Maybe 10% of the population," she said. "And that's being generous." The luminary communication systems were still trying to send out messages. Broken signals came through. Pieces of conversations, desperate calls for help. Final messages from people who knew they were about to die. One message caught Jae-sung's attention. An older luminary researcher was talking. His voice was calm, even as destruction happened around him. "We never prepared for this," the researcher said. "We believed that all intelligent life would understand cooperation. We thought no species would want to simply destroy another. We were wrong." The message cut off. Jae-sung looked at Sarah. They both knew what had to be done. The Galactic Cooperative would debate. They would have meetings. They would discuss diplomatic solutions. Humans would not wait. "Get me a direct line to Earth's Interstellar Defense Command," Jae-sung said. His voice was hard and clear. "Tell them we need a response team. Now." Sarah nodded. She understood exactly what he meant. The Void Collective thought they were hunting a weak species. They had no idea what was coming. Humanity was about to show them the true meaning of fighting back. The Interstellar Defense Command building stood tall in the middle of New Tokyo. Its walls were made of smart glass that could change colors and transparency. Inside, everything was clean and organized, with computer screens covering every wall. Captain Hyun-ki Kim stood in the main command center. He was not a big man, but he moved with the kind of energy that made people pay attention. His uniform was dark blue with silver lines, showing his high rank in the defense force. "Play the full transmission," he said. The room went quiet. A large screen showed the broken message from the Serenity *. The sounds of destruction, the desperate voices of the luminary, filled the space. Some officers looked away. Others watched with hard eyes. When the message finished, Captain Kim spoke. "What do you think?" An older woman named Director Lee stepped forward. She had been in space defense for over 30 years. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and her eyes were sharp. "The Void Collective has finally shown its true face," she said. "They're not just exploring. They're not just collecting resources. They're destroying entire civilizations." The room was filled with a heavy silence. Every person there understood what this meant. The Void Collective had attacked before, but never like this. Never with such complete destruction. "We can't wait for the Galactic Cooperative to make a decision," Captain Kim said. "By the time they finish their meetings, the luminary will be completely gone." Director Lee nodded. "Prepare the rapid response fleet," she ordered. Within hours, everything changed. Massive warships began to move. These were not just ordinary ships. They were the most advanced fighting machines humans had ever created. Each ship was like a floating city of war, packed with technology that most species couldn't even understand. The ships were different from other species' designs. Where alien ships were often smooth and curved, these human ships looked like they were built to fight. They had sharp edges, weapon systems that could change and adapt, shields that could take punishment that would destroy other ships. Captain Kim would lead the fleet personally. He selected a team that was unlike any other. There were military veterans who had fought in space battles. There were scientists who understood alien technology. There were experts in communication and strategy. But what made this team special was how they thought. Humans were different from other species. They could adapt. They could think in ways that computers and logical machines could not predict. The ships began to prepare. Massive engines hummed to life. Weapon systems ran final checks. Each crew member knew what was at stake. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," Captain Kim told his crew. "We're fighting for a species that cannot fight back. We're fighting to show that some things are worth protecting." Outside the ship, workers moved quickly. They loaded special weapons. They prepared medical equipment. They checked every small detail. One young engineer looked at Captain Kim. "Sir," he asked, "are we really going to fight the entire Void Collective?" Kim smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that showed something else. Determination. Anger. A promise. "We're going to do more than fight," he said. "We're going to send a message." The fleet was ready. The human response was about to begin. Space looked different from the bridge of the lead ship. Captain Hyun-ki Kim watched the star maps carefully. This was not a normal journey. This was a dangerous path through some of the most difficult areas of space. Other alien species would have taken the safe route. They would have followed standard navigation paths. They would have moved slowly and carefully. Humans were different. "Plot an alternative course," Kim told his navigation officer, a woman named Minji. Her fingers moved across the computer screens like she was playing a complex musical instrument. The new route looked impossible. It went through areas that most ships would never dare to travel. There were asteroid fields that could crush a ship in seconds. There were solar winds that could burn through normal protective shields. There were gravity wells that could pull a ship apart. To human navigators, these were not problems. These were challenges. "Quantum shield at maximum," Kim ordered. "Adaptive protection systems online." The ship's technology was unlike anything else in the galaxy. Normal ships had shields that worked in one way. Human shields could change. They could adapt. If an asteroid came too close, the shield would become harder. If solar radiation increased, the shield would change its frequency. The crew worked together like they were one machine. Each person knew exactly what to do. They had trained for years. They had prepared for situations that seemed impossible. "Incoming asteroid field," Minji announced. Her voice was calm. Most people would be scared. She was excited. The ship moved in ways that would make other species dizzy. It twisted. It turned. It used the gravity of nearby objects to move faster. Where other ships would go around an asteroid, this ship would dance between them. Inside the ship, everything was steady. The crew felt almost no movement. Advanced stabilization systems kept everything smooth. Kim looked at the data streaming across his screens. Each movement was calculated. Each turn was a complex mathematical decision made in less than a second. "Sir," said a young communication officer, "we're receiving strange signals from the Void Collective's communication networks." Kim smiled. "Of course we are," he said. "They can't understand how we're moving." The Void Collective was a machine intelligence. It worked on logic and predictions. It could calculate millions of possibilities in a moment. But it could not understand creativity. It could not understand that humans would do something completely unexpected. Their ship was gathering information with every moment. Special sensors picked up details about the Void Collective's communication systems. They were learning how the enemy thought, how they communicated, how they made decisions. "We're not just traveling," Kim told his crew. "We're collecting weapons. Information is a weapon." Hours passed. The ship continued its impossible journey. Normal ships would have been destroyed many times over. This ship moved like a living thing. Fast, smart, unpredictable. In the communication room, a computer screen showed the distance to Epsilon Prime. Each minute brought them closer to a battle that would change everything. The crew was ready. They were not just soldiers. They were humans, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And they were coming to fight. Epsilon Prime came into view. The planet looked like a wounded animal. Dark marks covered its surface. Smoke rose from destroyed cities. Mechanical shapes moved across the landscape like hungry insects. Enemy fleet detected, Minji announced. Her voice was calm, but her hands moved quickly across the control panels. Captain Kim stood perfectly still. His eyes watched the screens. Millions of Void Collective ships filled the space around the planet. They looked like a dark cloud, a cloud made of metal and death. Most species would have been scared. Humans were not most species. Battle stations, Kim said. His voice was steady. Prepare combat sequence Alpha 9. The human fleet moved in a way that made no sense to normal computer systems. They did not form a straight line. They did not follow standard attack patterns. Instead, they moved like water, flowing, changing, unpredictable. One of the smaller ships suddenly dropped behind a large asteroid. Another ship used the gravitational pull of a nearby moon to change its speed instantly. The Void Collective's computer systems tried to track them, but they could not. "They're trying to understand our movement," said a young tactical officer, "but they can't." Kim nodded. "Exactly," he said. The first attack came from the Void Collective. Hundreds of energy beams shot out. Each beam could destroy a normal ship in seconds, but these were not normal ships. Human shields flickered. They changed color. They bent the energy beams in impossible ways. Where an alien ship would have been destroyed, these ships simply moved, twisted, avoided. "Prepare quantum pulse," Kim ordered. A special weapon powered up. It was not like normal weapons. This was something completely different, a weapon that could break the most advanced computer systems in seconds. The first human ships began to attack. But they did not attack like other species. They did not just shoot weapons. They confused the enemy. One ship would appear in one place, then suddenly be somewhere else. Another ship would send out false communication signals. The Void Collective's ships started to get confused. Their perfect computer systems could not understand what was happening. "Their communication network is breaking down," Minji reported. Her voice had a tiny bit of excitement in it. Kim watched the battle. To others, it might have looked like chaos. But to him, it was a perfect plan. Every movement was calculated. Every action had a purpose. A group of Void Collective ships tried to form a defensive line. Suddenly, 3 human ships appeared from different directions. They were not where the enemy expected them to be. The battle was not just about fighting. It was about thinking, about being creative, about doing things that a computer could never predict. "Target their central command ships," Kim said. Energy beams shot out, but they were not just normal energy beams. These were special weapons that could break through the most advanced shields. One by one, the Void Collective ships started to fall. They were perfect machines, but they were fighting against something they could not understand. Humans. The first stage of the battle was about to end, and the Void Collective was beginning to realize they had made a terrible mistake. The first human troops landed on Epsilon Prime like ghosts. Lieutenant Yunji Choi watched from her dropship as the planet's broken landscape came closer. Destroyed buildings, burning forests, dead cities. Her team was not a normal military unit. They were something else, something special. "Exosuits online," she ordered. The soldiers moved. Their suits were not like normal armor. These were living machines that worked with the human body. When a soldier moved, the suit moved with them. If a soldier wanted to jump higher, the suit helped. If a soldier needed to be stronger, the suit made them stronger. Yunji's suit was midnight blue. It had special patterns that could change color. In one moment, it would look like metal. In the next, it would look like the broken ground around them. "Adaptive camouflage activated," said a voice in her ear. It was the suit's computer system. They landed in an area that used to be a luminary research center. Now it was just broken metal and smoke. The Void Collective had destroyed everything. "Survivor scans," Yunji said. The team's technology was amazing. They could look through walls. They could see heat signatures. They could detect life signs that other species would miss. "Movement in the West Building," reported a team member. 3 luminary life signs. 1 is injured. Most rescue teams would have been careful. They would have moved slowly. They would have followed strict rules. Humans were different. Yunji's team moved like water. One moment they were behind a broken wall. The next moment they were running across an open space. Their suits helped them move faster than normal humans could ever move. The Void Collective's ground machines tried to track them. But they could not. The humans moved in ways that made no sense to a computer system. A large mechanical walker appeared. It was 3 times the size of a human. It had multiple weapon systems. Its metal legs could crush a normal soldier in seconds. Yunji did not even slow down. "Target locked," she said. Her suit's weapon system was not like normal guns. This was a smart weapon. It could change its bullets in midair. It could hit targets that other weapons would miss. The walker exploded, but not in a normal way. It fell apart in pieces. One moment it was standing. The next moment it was just broken metal. "Rescue mission first," Yunji told her team. "Then we take out their systems." They found the luminary survivors in a small underground room. 3 scientists. 1 was badly hurt, but they were alive. "We are here to help," Yunji said in the luminary language. She had learned it just for this mission. The luminary looked at her with big eyes. They had never seen anything like these humans before. Yunji's team worked quickly. They gave medical help. They secured the area. They prepared for the next phase of the mission. The Void Collective thought they had won. They were wrong. Humans had arrived, and they were going to change everything. The Void Collective had a brain. Not a human brain. Not a living brain. But a massive computer network that controlled everything. It was hidden deep underground, inside a mountain of solid metal. Lieutenant Yunji Choi knew exactly where it was. "Prepares cyber infiltration team," she said into her communication device. 3 people stepped forward. They were not normal soldiers. They looked like ordinary people, but their brains were connected to computers in ways most people could not understand. The lead cyber specialist was named David Kim. He was small. He wore glasses. He looked like someone who might work in an office, but his mind was something special. "We're going to break their network," David said. His voice was calm. Most cyber attacks worked in simple ways. They tried to break through walls. They tried to use force. David was different. He understood that the best way to break a system was to make it confused. "Start mimetic warfare sequence," he told his team. Mimetic warfare was not like normal fighting. It was about sending information that would make the enemy's computer systems think wrong. It was about creating confusion. The Void Collective's network was perfect. It could calculate millions of things in a second. It could predict most attacks. But it could not understand human creativity. David's team sent special signals. These were not just normal computer messages. These were complex pieces of information that made no sense. To a human, they would look like random noise. To a computer system, they were like a poison. The first signs of trouble came quickly. The Void Collective's machines started to make small mistakes. A weapon system would aim wrong. A communication line would send a message to the wrong place. "We're in," David said. Inside the network, David's mind worked differently. He could see the computer systems like a map. But it was a map that was always changing, always moving. Most hackers would try to break things. David wanted to understand first. The Void Collective's network was like a huge spider web. Each connection was perfect. Each system talked to another system in a logical way. But David found the small places where things were not perfect. "Target central processing node," he said. His fingers moved across a special computer, but he was not just using his hands. His mind was connected to the computer. He could think faster than the machine could process. One by one, the Void Collective systems started to break down, not in a big explosion, but in small, careful ways. A weapon system would fail. A communication line would send wrong information. A defense shield would drop for just a moment. The Void Collective did not understand what was happening. Their perfect system was being attacked in ways they could not predict. "We're introducing creative chaos," David explained to his team. "We're making them think in ways they cannot understand." Outside, Lieutenant Choi's ground team continued their mission. But inside the computer network, a different kind of battle was happening. Humans were breaking a system that was supposed to be unbreakable. And they were doing it with their most powerful weapon, their mind. The Void Collective's invasion fell apart faster than anyone could have imagined. One moment, they were winning. The next moment, everything was breaking. Captain Hyun-ki Kim watched from the bridge of his ship. The enemy's massive fleet was becoming confused. Their perfect machines were not working right. "Their systems are breaking down," Minji reported. Her fingers moved quickly across the computer screens. It started with small things. A weapon would not fire. A communication line would send wrong messages. A defense shield would drop at the wrong time. These were not big mistakes. But for a machine intelligence, these were deadly. The Void Collective believed in perfect logic. They thought everything could be calculated. They believed that if they had enough information, they could win any battle. Humans were not logical. Humans were creative. Lieutenant Yun-ji Choi's ground team moved quickly. They were not just fighting. They were breaking the enemy's systems in ways no one could predict. "Target their main communication centers," she ordered. Her team moved like shadows. One moment they were behind a broken building. The next moment they were running across an open space. Their special suits helped them move faster than normal humans could ever move. In the computer network, David Kim was doing something special. He was not just breaking the system. He was making it confused. He sent signals that made no sense. Information that a computer could not understand. The Void Collective ships started to stop working. Some turned against each other. Some just stopped moving. Others tried to escape. "They cannot understand what is happening," Kim said to his crew. This was the difference between humans and machine intelligence. Machines followed rules. Humans broke rules. Machines calculated. Humans imagined. On the planet's surface, the luminary survivors watched in amazement. These humans were not just fighting. They were saving an entire civilization. One luminary scientist watched a human team rescue his colleagues. "They are not just soldiers," he said. "They are something else." The battle was not like other space fights. This was not about who had the biggest weapons. This was about who could think in the most creative way. Human ships moved in ways that made no sense. They used asteroids as shields. They flew through dangerous areas that other ships would avoid. They changed their plans every second. The Void Collective's computer systems tried to understand, but they could not. "Their entire network is falling apart," Minji said. Huge Void Collective ships began to crash. Some fell from the sky. Some crashed into each other. Some just stopped working. Lieutenant Choi's team reached the main Void Collective control center. It was a massive building made of metal and computer systems. "Mission complete," she said. The invasion was over. But it was more than just a victory. It was a message. Humans would protect those who could not protect themselves. The galaxy would never be the same. The dust was settling on Epsilon Prime. Where there had been destruction, now there was hope. Captain Kim stood on the bridge of his ship, looking down at the planet. The luminary survivors were already beginning to rebuild. Tiny lights appeared in the darkness, buildings coming back to life. "We're not just leaving them," he told his crew. Human ships began to change their mission. They were not just military vessels anymore. Now they were help ships, rescue ships, rebuild ships. Lieutenant Yunji Choi walked through what used to be a luminary research center. Her team was helping the survivors. They brought medical supplies. They brought food. They brought technology that could help rebuild. A young luminary scientist approached her. His hands were shaking. His eyes were full of questions. "Why did you help us?" he asked. Choi smiled. "Because someone needed help," she said simply. The luminary had never seen anything like these humans before. They were warriors, but they were also healers. They were fighters, but they were also helpers. David Kim, the cyber specialist, worked with luminary technology experts. They were not just fixing things. They were teaching, showing how to build better defense systems, how to protect themselves. "We want you to be strong," he told the luminary scientists. "We don't want to fight your battles forever." Human ships brought special machines, robots that could clear destroyed buildings, medical systems that could heal injuries, communication tools that could help rebuild networks. Captain Kim met with the luminary leaders. They gathered in a temporary building. Outside, human and luminary workers worked together to clear the damage. "We will help you rebuild," Kim said, "but you must learn to protect yourselves." The luminary listened carefully. They had always believed in peace, but now they understood that peace sometimes needed protection. Teams of human engineers showed the luminary how to build better defense systems, how to create early warning technologies, how to understand potential threats. "We are not giving you weapons," one human trainer explained. "We are giving you knowledge." Across the planet, something special was happening. Humans were not just conquering. They were helping. They were teaching. The Void Collective had destroyed everything. But humans were bringing life back. Days turned into weeks. The planet began to change. New buildings rose. Communication systems came back online. The luminary began to understand that they could be strong. One evening, Captain Kim stood with the luminary leader. They watched the sunset together. "Your people saved us," the luminary leader said. Kim shook his head. "We showed you that you can save yourselves," he replied. The human fleet would soon leave, but they were leaving something more important than weapons. They were leaving hope. They were leaving knowledge. A young luminary child watched the human ships. Her eyes were full of wonder. She saw something new, something powerful. She saw that being different was not a weakness. It was a strength. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Humans were not just another species. They were protectors. They were helpers. And they would always stand between destruction and those who could not defend themselves.